You are not indispensable. 4 words. You are not indispensable. A very negative note to start with, is it? First thing in the morning, especially after something as inspiring as that. When I say this to friends, when I say this to colleagues, directors, writers, actors, fashion designers, they always turn around and tell me, why would you say that? It feels like someone's pushing you down, right? It feels like someone's telling you you're just not good enough. You are not indispensable. But in my life, not a very long life, extremely interesting life, but in my life, I've found this to be the most inspiring mantra I could ever come up with. And I've come up with this myself, all by myself. You are not indispensable. I've been a fashion, film, food, travel journalist, lifestyle journalist for about 10 to 12 years now. And primarily with fashion and film, these are the two industries that I work with very, very closely. Primarily with these two industries, it's extremely trend-oriented. What is the flavor of the season today might not be tomorrow. For example, 5 years back, we told you, us fashion journalists, we told you that sneakers are only for the gym. Today, I tell you, people like me tell you that sneakers, you can wear it as formal wear. Wear joggers with jackets. Wear sneakers wherever you go. Tomorrow, people like me will tell you, color your hair red. That's the hottest thing to do right now, and you guys will. You will see celebrities doing it. Remember how Ranveer Singh used to dress back then, and how he dresses right now? Tomorrow, he might not be dressing at all, if that's the trend. The point is, these two industries, they are very, very closely related to changing ideas, changing concepts, new stuff every day. What's hot today is not hot tomorrow. So when I see the 10, 12 years I've spent in this industry, I could really, really believe that this is the way to go. So when I meet actors, I meet designers, struggling actors, directors who are just starting up, I tell them a very basic thing. If you went to the airport or VT station, go to VT station, it's more dramatic, it's better looking. At least you can imagine, minimum, at least 10,000 people are walking into the city of Mumbai every single day with dreams. 10,000 people. So right now, if you start thinking about yourself, there's at least 10,000 people who are exactly like you. Equally talented, equally capable. If you want to be an actor or a model, equally good looking. So what do you bring to the table that 10,000 other people don't? Because, for example, if you, as an employer, as an employee, what are you bringing to the table? And I like to ask that question on a personal and a professional level. As a father, as a son, as a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, wife, husband, friend, what do you bring to the table in a relationship, in an equation, be it professional or personal, that 10,000 other people can't? Because that's what's going to ensure that you stay there, right? That you stay put. So I started off at Man's World India magazine about 10 years back as a junior staff writer. There was literally no one juniorer than me. Nobody. For about the first 6 months, everybody thought I was an intern. No one bothered to know my name. That was 10 years back. Today, I'm the executive editor of India's first and oldest fashion and lifestyle magazine for men. The magazine is celebrating its 20th anniversary. I'm literally working on that issue right now. In the course of 10 years, in the course of slowly climbing up, in the course of making the biggest celebrities and being able to call them my friends in the industry, in the course of that, I realized that there's a sort of a 3-step process that you can apply, and that kind of takes you closer to understanding why I started off with "You are not indispensable." So, and when I had to kind of put it together, this 3-step process, I think I fell back to, very funnily, I fell back to economics. And I spent 2 years studying economics, and I think I just understood one thing, and that's demand and supply. This whole world, anything and everything in this whole world is based on demand and supply. Literally. From money to love, from food to power, from wanting to save the environment to not wanting to save the environment. It's all about demand and supply. So I'll explain the three-step process with the help of demand and supply. Who knew a journalist would be doing that, right? The first is find the demand, right? When you walk into, let's talk in terms that you'll understand. When you walk into a group assignment, for example, a project that you're working with a bunch of other people, right? The first thing is to find the demand. What is lacking in that space? If you talk to people who work with brands, consumers, when I work with some of the biggest brands right now in the country and abroad, the first thing that anybody discusses is sometimes your consumers don't even know what they are lacking, what they are missing out on. They are not aware of it. Sometimes they don't know what they want. It's the most common term that we hear. So the first thing is to figure out what is not there, what is the gap. Once you've done that, that's when you move on to creating the demand. Just finding the demand isn't enough because you are the person who's figured out what the gap is, right? How do you create demand? You create a demand with introducing ideas, concepts, solutions. You create a demand by telling people that there are other things that they could be doing right now. You create a demand by telling them that this space that you see, this space could be dealt with in a different manner. This problem could be dealt with in 5 different other ways. So once you do that, what's going to happen is that that's when they're going to fall in love with those ideas. They're going to say, oh my God, I love this. This is a great solution. And then they're going to say, but who's going to do it? Because evidently they don't have somebody to do it, which is why the gap is there in the first place, right? So when they say, who's going to do it? That is when you be the supply. That is when you bring to the table something nobody else in that space could. Because if they did, that gap wouldn't exist. Find the demand, create the demand, be the supply. Very easy said that done. Very honestly. It's very easy to just put it out there to people and impress you guys, and you guys are going to be like, yeah, quotables, right? Like, you go, pointers. It's like bullet points. It's very easy said that done. It doesn't work that way because I just, like the sample size could be 5. The sample size could be 10,000. It could be 100,000. When I talk to actors, for example, I just, I'm always surrounded by actors and designers. When I talk to actors, for example, I tell them, what do you have? Why should someone cast you in a film and not 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 other guys? Everyone's the same, literally, right? Because if today, for example, you see a tiger shroff, you just need to go to Lokhandwala or Versova in the suburbs of Bombay, and there will be at least 10,000 people who look exactly the same walking out of every other gym. It is about finding what is lacking in the space you walk into. It is about finding what people need. It is about coming up with solutions that don't already exist. When I told you guys about you are not indispensable, it triggered a fear within all of us. It triggers a fear, right? When you hear the first thing in the morning as you are not indispensable, it triggers a fear. It's a very ancient fear. It's a fear we as a race, we are born with it. That is the fear of being replaced. Nobody likes being replaced. You don't want to be replaced as a son, as a daughter, as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend, as parents, as partners, as friends. You don't want to be replaced in your personal levels. You don't want to be replaced in your workspace at all. No one wants to be replaced. So what do you need to do to not be replaced? I'll tell you what. You literally need to look at your cell phones and be inspired by that. Because human beings, honestly, we are just like iPhones and OnePluses. I just made sure both the iOSs are happy. We are literally just like those phones because you just need to constantly upgrade, update, and stay relevant. Because the point is that the moment you're going to be, I don't know, we are at an iPhone 11s. I'm not an iPhone guy. But the moment you're still stuck at 5s, you're missing out. If you're stuck at a 6, you're missing out. Somebody else has walked in and filled that gap. Somebody found that demand, came up with solutions, and a OnePlus happened, for example, right? We don't discuss Nokia anymore. The point is, it is very, very important to remember that being indispensable is not a stagnant thing. You can't find the demand, create the demand, become the supply, and be like, ooh, I'm indispensable AF. It doesn't work like that. Upgrading yourself, updating yourself, constantly pushing yourself to stay relevant is what will keep you indispensable at all times. Easier said than done. But the point is, it is very important for you to be aware of the fact that being yourself is a dynamic process. It is very important to understand that wherever you are, whatever role you play, you cannot remain the version of yourself that you are right now forever. It doesn't work like that. Because everybody around you change. I talk about people because my average day involves interactions with at least 50 to 60 human beings. From PR professionals, my team, which is about roughly 35 to 40 people every day. I hate them. I love them. Moving on to celebrities, moving on to designers, moving on to people who own brands, people who run brands, comms managers, corp comms, mark comms, moving on to people I think are absolutely worthless, to people who I think are worth my time. Every single person, it is very, very important for me. So when I'm talking to you, I should be relevant to you. To when I'm talking to someone who's a 75-year-old calligraphy artist sitting in Lucknow, I need to be relevant to that person too. Otherwise, why would anybody talk to me? Next week, for example, I'm going off to a small, tiny, tiny village at the very end of Kerala to be spending 1 week with a Baul artist who's from West Bengal, who's moved to Kerala to teach Baul music there. And I need to be relevant there too, because I'm going there for a story. If I cannot open up and if I cannot tell the other person that, hey, I'm worth your time, because then the other person is not going to open up to me. I give a small case study whenever I try to stitch everything together and not leave loose ends. And this case study is of one of my very dear friends. And he's one of the biggest actors we have in the industry right now, and that's Ayushmann Khurrana. When Ayush started off, AK started with Vicky Donor. And Vicky Donor was a major sleeper hit. Most of us have watched that film. Suddenly it came out of nowhere. We were like, oh my God, we can't believe this film is a hit. Who thought it would be? It is. It was a fantastic film. We loved it. Then after that, he kind of meandered a little. There were films that we didn't quite necessarily like. There were films that mostly didn't do too well. A lot of journalists, sometimes me, we kind of wrote him off. We were like, yeah, I think it was a one-time thing. It didn't work out. And then suddenly, Dam Laga Ke Haisha happened. Suddenly, Shubh Mangal Savdhan happened. And we were like, wait a minute. What had happened, basically, was that with Vicky Donor itself, AK had found the demand. He found that there was a space that had a new kind of audience. Audiences wanted a very different kind of cinema. Audiences were ready for a different kind of cinema. Audiences wanted heroes and actors to be relatable, to be human, to be flawed. They wanted real stories. He found the demand. It took some time to create the demand. So when he did a Dam Laga Ke or he did a Shubh Mangal, he was just giving you those tasters, right, to see whether we liked it, whether he could create that demand for that kind of cinema, and he did, because those films did well. And that is when he backed it off with an Andhadhun, you had a Bala, you had a Dream Girl, you have a Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan happening right now. And what has happened in the process is he just said that, hey, you want that kind of cinema, I am going to be the supply. And he did just that. Today, Ayushmann Khurrana literally has become a genre in Bollywood. Today, Ayushmann Khurrana is indispensable. If he's going to keep himself upgraded, updated, relevant, he will be indispensable. So if he can be indispensable, so can you. I spent a lot of time on coming up with a really catchy way of ending this. So you can be indispensable. But there's an asterisk at the top, which involves a lot of hard work. Thank you so much. You guys have been a great audience. Thank you.